okay, you want to make a government, go ahead and do it, but I'm not going to be a part of that government. If you want to, be form a government for the heck of आपको सिर्फ development करना है, I'm not there for that. मैंने इसलिए election नहीं लड़ा. I want to go beyond that, because I want to try my best to take people out of this, situation. So that is something that really, persuaded me or compelled me to toe his line, because I believed. I mean, I had
But
blind.
he also said to me in an interview that for some days you did not speak to him because of this.
I was very upset about it.
Was it a fact that you
I was very upset about it. I was very upset about it. It's not about speak, because I could not do without speaking with my father, but he could feel that I was quite, not myself. I was not quite myself. I was, mentally under a lot of stress, and I had to take certain medicines also. I was under so much stress for the first time in my life, I had to take certain medicines to de-stress myself, to reconcile with this thing.
there was this anxiety?
Yeah, there was this anxiety, what's going to happen, how can we do it? And but my father was on the other side very adamant. He said, this is the only way. You have to sacrifice yourself, Mehbooba. We have to sacrifice myself. We have to sacrifice our party.
And was it an unpopular decision?
Of course, it was unpopular, not only for us, even for BJP. Because he said, ki, I know the worst thing is going to happen, ki log jo hai, people will abuse me, and they may not, kind of vote for my party in the next elections. But if I am able to achieve what I have, what I have, gone out to achieve, even if अगर उसका 1/10 भी मैं achieve कर सकूँगा, I am able to restore peace with dignity to the people of the state, and build on the Muzaffarabad road, take it to the second level, open more routes, and have some kind of dialogue process restarted with the separatists. It is something. I will think it's my achievement. I won't mind sacrificing anything for that. So that is.
What was your toughest period during these 2.5 years of rule when you were acting as chief minister? Was 2016 a turning point? The civilian killings, pellets?
Governor, I've seen the very tough period right from my 96 elections when I stepped, because militancy was at peak, and it wasn't as out of choice that I fought the Bijbara election. You couldn't get a candidate at that point of time, so I was really pushed into it, and militants were everywhere. I was attacked so many times, but I think these 2 years and 2 months were the hardest in my life.
2016 and...
Right, right from this beginning, because, I started with, something that my father wanted me to do, it was something that, I was still not very comfortable doing. But I had to do it because my father had made a commitment, and I wanted to do it, and I wanted to, give it a chance and try my best. I told my people at that point of time, I told them, I know I'm going to get consumed in it, but I'll give it my best shot. So all the time, especially, that from 8th July, when there was an encounter in Kukarnag, and then, there was hell broke loose, and, there were attacks on camps, police stations, and, young kids were, thrown in the forefront, and then you had to use guns and pellet guns and everything, and it was something, I had never imagined in my life that is going to happen, during my tenure. That was something,
Do you, in the hindsight, do you regret some of the statements that you made at that point?
Yeah, of course, why not? Because at that point of time, I was more angry than frustrated. Angry in the sense that I would think, how come any parent is allowing their kids to go out in this situation when there is a curfew, there is a call for hartal, then there are processions going on, and they are attacking these camps, and they are attacking security forces. It is not as if, you are going in a very peaceful procession. So, even if my child wants to go and buy something from the market, I would 10 times think कि कहीं सड़क क्रॉस करते हुए कोई तकलीफ तो नहीं होगी. और even if we send some money to fetch something, और बच्चे को हम बाहर भेजते हैं, तो 10 बार सोचते हैं कि इसको भेजना चाहिए नहीं भेजना चाहिए. So my anger was, how could parents...
Was it as a mother that anger?
Yeah, actually, yeah, it was like, because, there have been many a times, when I have had the occasion, a chance to, get these young kids out of the army camps, जहाँ उनको बोलते थे घास हाथ से निकालना पड़ता था. मैं जाती थी वहाँ, उनके साथ लड़ाई करके उनको बाहर निकालती थी. कभी कभी जब कोई कैंप नया होता था, चाहे टास्क फोर्स का कैंप, चाहे आर्मी का कैंप, तो वहाँ जो इनको बैरक्स या दूसरे बनाने पड़ते थे बंकर्स, उसके लिए लोकल बच्चे स्कूल जा रहे होते हैं, उनको बोलते चलो ये सर पे उठा के हमारी मदद करो। तो कई बार मैंने जो है बच्चों के सर से वो उतार के आई वुड फाइट विद दीज आर्मी मैन और पुलिस मैन कि क्या करते हो आप, कैसे, हाउ कैन यू डू दैट। और देन आई थॉट दीज वेरी किड्स जैज जो मेरे जलसे जुलूसों में भी तब शायद ज़रा छोटे होते अपनी माँ का हाथ पकड़ के मेरे पास आए होंगे, एंड आज दीज किड्स आर गेटिंग ब्लाइंडेड एंड दे आर गेटिंग किल्ड. How can people do it to me when I have been so close to them, when I have gone into army camps, because मुझे भी मालूम नहीं था army camp कैसा होता है. When I fought my election in 96, I was like any Kashmiri girl. I would not even think about entering an army camp, but I would do that just to get these kids, और जो कोई लड़का पकड़ा होता था उसको बाहर निकालने के लिए. So that is something that really hurt me, and it was something I did not expect. People did not expect something from me, and I did not expect this thing from. So it was something mutual, जो होता है ना, एक अपनापन होता है, गुस्सा आता है, उस वक्त आप सोचते नहीं. But I would say I definitely regret making certain things which hurt the sentiments of the people.
Some critics also say that when you joined hands with the BJP, and then when they broke the alliance, you did not get a whiff about it. Like they also say same about Mr. Vora, that when he was replaced by Mr. Satyapal. And were there some chances, do you think, that there was that moment when you could have actually walked off the alliance, not give opportunity to the BJP to do that?
Let's see.
And did you have, and why do you think BJP pulled out?
नहीं, देखिए, पहले the first thing is that we had taken such a huge risk
by forging this alliance.
So it wasn't something that I should have broken on a jiffy. Yes, there were a couple of instances when I was ready to pull out. That was on Article 35. When I could when I could see that the Attorney General is not behaving the way he should be behaving.
They're not taking a position.
Yeah, so I went to the Home Minister, I went to the Prime Minister, I told them very clearly that we are not going. I'm not going to. I'm going to be. I will pull out if you don't. Then if you remember
when was that? It's like
that was in 2016 and or 17. I don't remember it very clearly. Because I told them, see,
when the federal government had not taken a position.
Yeah,
to defend
and then if you recall, then the Attorney General said in the court that we have appointed an interlocutor, so we want to give him time. We want to give him time. That was one of the instances. Secondly was when they started, talking about ये जो मुजफ्फराबाद road से drugs आ रहे हैं, ये आ रहे हैं, वो आ रहे हैं, and I started talking about that, and that was the time when I could, and when I thought if they in this garb tried to close it down, because that is something it had come to. It was, if you recall, it was, the traffic was closed down for some time. And that was the time I thought, if they do it, because this is my father's legacy.
Okay.
And if they close it, that means they don't want to do anything. Instead of opening new routes or taking it to the second level. If they close this, then, there is nothing that we are going to, have to do with this party. Then third was the Rasana case. Okay. There I told, ultimately I told, I met Prime Minister, I said, look here, your people are not behaving properly, and he seemed upset.
Because of the two cabinet ministers who had gone there to participate.
Yeah, I said, how can they use the flag and everything, and then, he seemed upset, and after that, even still they continued, those two ministers, especially the one.
Mr. Singh.
Yeah, then I called, I called this Amit Shah ji, and I told him, कि आप तो या तो इनको आप ड्रॉप कर दीजिए. Sorry, excuse me. Hello? ये क्या दबस्तान से सावन, हाँ? I told them कि either you drop them or I am going to drop. Well, I did not. I am going to. I said you drop them. There is no other way, because उस वक्त मैंने सोचा अगर ये लोग drop नहीं करते हैं, then I was going to drop them, and that would have again done that. So ये थे, पर उसके बाद जो ceasefire हो गया, और उसके बाद रमज़ान ceasefire was there, dialogue की बात होगी, but I could feel that they were very
reluctant.
Discomfort हो रहा था उनको. There was a lot of discomfort because I did not, I mean, it may sound very pompous, very pompous it may sound, but I did not compromise any time during these, two and दो साल 2 महीने रहे. I did not compromise. मतलब कि जैसे there was this tribal policy, you must be knowing that every time खदेड़ते हैं इन बिचारों को. So I told them, I said, every time you are kind of pushing these Gujars and tribal people out, so let's have a tribal policy forest policy. But many of the BJP ministers did not agree. They said, okay, we're going to have it, we'll have a committee and other things. We said, it's all over the country, why can't we replicate it? They did not agree. So what I did, I had a meeting of Tribal Affairs Ministry, and I gave orders that they should not be disturbed till we get a forest policy. This again became a bone of contention between us. Rasana was already there.
35A.
35A was already there, granting amnesty to the 11,000. It was again hurting them. And many other factors which somehow they expected me to do, I did not do them, Like, many things,
How do you see the CM chair, the sanctity of the CM's chair, when you yourself said in a statement that if BJP tries to break my party? So, I mean, what were your fears that why would they break your party, and why would you say that BJP was trying to?
It was a question asked to me that ऐसा लगता है, because you can well imagine that with a lot of effort and hard work, people's faith in the democratic process, election process has been restored. I mean, what happened in '87? That was the worst thing that could have happened to any state. So my point was that you have disagreements within a party, but if you are claiming you have 13, 14, 15 people with you, it can't be unless and until
there is horse trading.
There is horse trading, and Delhi is not involved. It has to be involvement at the highest level. So my point was that if they are trying to discredit the democratic system once again, it may have.
You felt that it was a replica of '87, or you could?
No, not replica. It was just a perception. I don't know how far that is true, that something is happening, and if 2-3 members leave you understand that. But if they claim that they have 15, 16 people with them, and many rumors are going around कि ये करते हैं, वो करेंगे, it can't be done without a
There was one of the rebel cabinet ministers, if I may use the word. He himself comes from the family legacy of family dynastic politics, and then he accused you of dynastic politics. How hurtful was that? Because he was also very close to you at one point.
I was very hurt in the sense because I treated him always as my younger brother, and I would also take liberty with him and scold him at times. When his father died, I mean, it really broke my heart. I mean, I felt so sad at that point of time when he died, and I couldn't console myself for days to come. And he was like a family. I treated him like a family, and as a younger brother, I would scold him at times and tell him, this is wrong. ये गलत करते हो, ये गलत करते हो. And I also, listened to him at times. He wanted certain things done, I would do it, And he was the one who could come into my office, anytime. So when
how did you respond? How would you respond to his allegation? One of his allegations that everything was done. It was a kitchen cabinet. Once the decision was made in a larger gathering, cabinet ministers, and then there was something. Some people would come and they would hijack everything.
I think that was totally wrong. Because I am a person. I am a person of my will. I mean, even with my father, we would have disagreements. So if my father could not force me to do something, or in the sense कि unless he would be able to convince me.
After discussion.
Yeah, discussions convince कर सकते थे, तभी मैं उनकी बात को अगर कहीं हमारा disagreement, though we did not have many of the disagreement, पर जहाँ भी होता है, जैसे BJP के alliance के बारे में, but he was able to convince me at the end of the day. So I am not a person who I listen to everybody. I listen to everybody, but at the end of the day, it's me.
Take your decisions.
It's me, myself, who takes certain decisions. And I mean, I don't bother about the consequences of that decision, Because once you make a decision, you feel this is the right thing to do. You take people into confidence, you listen to them, then you take a decision. At the end of the day, I'm the president, so I need to have that kind of, confidence in myself.
If you were to list 3 of your biggest achievements as Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, and also 3 low points, what would that be?
See, the biggest achievement would be that having done whatever was possible to do in spite of all this situation, it takes you, hardly an hour on this road now. It was started during my father's tenure when Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the Prime Minister. I still recall my father telling Atal Bihari Vajpayee जी, आप कहते हैं कश्मीर से कन्याकुमारी एक है, तो फिर ये जो नॉर्थ साउथ कॉरिडोर है, ये आपने सांबा में क्यों रोका है इसको जम्मू में? It was then at that point of time, इन्होंने हमें ये तो extend किया था इसको, जो आज आप देखते हैं, जो आप काजीगुंड और जम्मू का जो जाता है, yeah, that was, I mean, इस पे काम मैं कहती हूँ, whatever work we were able to do, काम ज़्यादा मेडिकल कॉलेजेस का काम जो इस साल आपके कंप्लीट होने वाले हैं, इट वाज नॉट पॉसिबल, चाहे बारामूला का है, अनंतनाग का है, या बाकी जो स्कूल अपग्रेडेशंस, बाकी चीज़ें, आई मीन वट एवर वी डिड इन स्पाइट ऑफ द सिचुएशन. 2010 में सिचुएशन ख़राब हो गई, इट वॉज कन्फाइंड टू श्रीनगर एंड सम ऑफ इट टू शोपियां, बट दिस टाइम द whole valley, beyond valley, Rajouri, Poonch, Doda, Kishtwar was affected. So I think my achievement, I can say, was कि सबसे ये था कि in spite of everything we were able to do certain development works. And secondly, जो decision बहुत सालों से pending थे, जैसे KPS का cadre review था, इसी तरह KS वालों के काफ़ी जो थे issues थे, promotions थे, pay anomalies थी, और ख़ासकर जो women के लिए ये जो stamp duty मैंने ख़त्म कर दी, और इसी तरह मैंने वो स्कूटी स्कीम पहली बार हमारी कंट्री में, आई वॉज द फर्स्ट वन, उसके बाद तमिलनाडु ने किया या आंध्र प्रदेश, आई डोंट नो, 50%. सो आई वांटेड टू डू अ लॉट, but I'm not satisfied with it.
I'm invited journalists for a dinner when you took over as chief minister, and there were many requests. Some people were making requests to have an interview with you, and you said at that point in time, I remember, that give me some time. And then this thing happened, and things. But what are the 3 laws which I also wanted to know?
3 laws is जो उस वक्त जो 8 जुलाई जो हो गया, that was the lowest point of my life, जो उस वक्त शुरू हो गया, और उसके बाद तो लो ही लो होता रहा, in the sense कि 1-2 महीना जो थोड़ा सा मुझे, I had got a window, I was able to एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को थोड़ा सा मैंने स्ट्रेंथन करने की कोशिश की थी, थोड़ा सा हमने आहिस्ता आहिस्ता जो है, अगर आपको याद होगा, इन मोर देन 20 years आई वाज द ओनली वन हु वाज एबल टू, ये जो चश्मा शाही की हट्स हम खाली कर पाए थे. तो इसी तरह थोड़ा एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को भी स्ट्रेंथन करने थे, और भी कुछ चीज़ें जो हम करना चाहते थे, बट एवरीथिंग वेंट इनटू डिसहैरी, देयर वाज नो अकाउंटेबिलिटी, क्योंकि जब लॉ एंड ऑर्डर पे आपका सारा फोकस हो जाता है, यू आर टोटली फोकस्ड ऑन लॉ एंड ऑर्डर, कि कितने मरे, खुदा ना खासा क्या हुआ है, ऑल द टाइम यू आर गेटिंग फ़ोन कॉल्स, यहाँ इतने पैलेट लगे. सो दैट वाज दैट, इट स्टार्टेड, द लो तो स्टार्ट हो गया 8 जुलाई से. उसके बाद तो आई वॉज नॉट माई सेल्फ, आई वॉज जस्ट देयर, लाइक कहते हैं ना कि वो एक बिल्कुल वो कहीं शायद रूह मेरी पहले ही, आई वॉज hurt a lot after my father passed away, but whatever was left, that was उसमें हो गया है.
Do you think, because there are some people who say that what happened in Rasana, the brutal murder, gang rape and kidnapping of 8-year girl child, and what the stand you took after that, and when 2 BJP ministers had to resign, some people are of the opinion that stance cost you the CM's chair.
Of course, that added to it. That added to it. Definitely that added to it. Because, in Jammu, they tried to criminalize the situation, then they themselves could not come out of it. उन्होंने unfortunately खुद एक trap किया. They thought they are going to, some of the people, they are going to benefit out of it. But then it engulfed them. तो उसी में वो ख़त्म हो गए फिर खुद ही. तो उनको लगा कि इससे बहुत ज़्यादा polarization हो गया, बहुत नुकसान हो गया, and then it became very difficult for their position in Jammu became untenable.
What do you think is going to happen to 35A, and what will your party, what will be the decision that your party will take if something tinkering happens, as are the fears and apprehensions? Let's leave the demographic threat aside, but because entire civil society, the Hurriyat conference, national conference, everybody seems to have taken a position. What will you do if there is some adverse?
I don't think there is going to be an adverse. I mean, I somehow feel that,
hypothetically,
it should not happen at all, because if it happens, as I said earlier also, people like us, who people, have reservations because we are seen as mainstream party, leaders. So we are the ones who uphold the Constitution of India here, and this 35 is a part of that. So if government of India, or any organization, or any kind of arm of government of India, because everything is so, decide to dilute Article 370, I think it's going to be very difficult for any mainstream party to uphold the national flag or uphold the Indian constitution here in J&K
Do you
state.
think the space for mainstream will shrink further if it happens?
It's not about mainstream. The place for everybody is going to shrink.
There is, also like you remember what Mr. Dr. Farooq Abdullah said recently in a prayer meeting for Vajpayee when he chanted those slogans Bharat Mata Ki Jai, and then there was huge controversy. He was heckled in a mosque in Hazratbal. And he was the same Dr. Farooq Abdullah who some months back had also said that those who pelt stones are national heroes and they are fighting for Kashmir's Azadi. Don't you think that the double speak which is there, and people are sometimes justified in calling the bluff and out, and this is also the people also say that in one of the videos you were seen as saying if somebody votes for the BJP, that will be we should not allow BJP to enter here, and then the same party joining hands with the BJP. How do you respond to such criticism?
Well, I would say that it is something that is wrong, and as I earlier also said that I was the one who was fighting to keep BJP at bay, and there was a reason for that. But the situation, the mandate of the people was such that we try to make best of it.
Okay. Electoral arithmetic was such.
It was such, you could not. First of all, we wanted to kind of take Vajpayee ji's legacies forward, and he was leading NDA at that time, and again it was the NDA government, but minus Vajpayee ji. And secondly, Jammu had voted, en masse for BJP, and you could not keep Jammu people out of power. It would create certain, situations which we would not be able to deal with. So, but having said that, even then people have every right to be angry with me, with our party. They have a right because, it will take them some time maybe to understand what Mufti did and why he did that. Because nobody can imagine that a person can sacrifice so much for the sake of people. It is beyond imagination, कि कोई इतना unpopular फैसला कर सकता है, और when you can have a chair very easily by going किसी और पार्टी के साथ आप जा सकते हैं, कुर्सी तो आपको मिल सकती है. But I would again say that heckling a senior leader like Farooq Saab is not right, because okay, whatever he has said, whatever he is doing, he has a right to say and do whatever he feels like. But I would say that there are many ways to protest, but he is the senior most politician in our state at this point of time. बुजुर्ग हैं, तो मुझे लगता है कि ये आँखों का लिहाज होना चाहिए. We should not,
But don't you also think that once those statements are made, when somebody would say that those throwing stones are national heroes, it also adds to the law and order situation when people would actually get encouraged to do certain acts when a senior seasoned politician would say like that?
No, I don't deny that. The statements we make do definitely have an impact on the situation on the ground, on the young minds and other people. But again, I would say that there are ways and means to protest.
Civil ways.
Yeah, you can protest. They could have, just gone there and told him, why did you do that, instead of trying to throw shoes or, shouting and things like that.
And now let's cross the LOC and go to Pakistan for a moment. And now Imran Khan is there, new Prime Minister. And so far he has made the right kind of noises that if India walks one step and we will walk two. And then he tweeted about Sidhu, and then he also
Kerala ke bare mein bhi he offered prayers and help, whatever.
And help also. So what are your expectations of this young charismatic cricketer turned politician who is making all the right noises? How should Kashmir respond, and how in your view should also Delhi should respond?
See, it's more important how Delhi responds. Till now, we have seen that people, especially on the media, are trying to belittle him, demean him by saying that he is a
Taliban
army proxy hai, wo army ka proxy and other things, forgetting that the best kind of agreement that has happened till between India and Pakistan happened during an army rule. Whether it was ceasefire or opening of routes or dialogue process, it happened during Musharraf's time. So I would expect that the NDA government, including the opposition parties, rise up to the occasion and try to respond positively, and so that we can restart where Vajpayee had left. I think even Imran should take a leaf from Musharraf's book, because there was almost an agreement about
mentions that in his book,
opening these routes and things other than many things, signed some kind of mechanism wherein you can use the resources of both the Kashmirs for the benefit of both the Kashmirs. So things like that. So I would say that both the leaders on that side, they need to take a leaf from Musharraf's, and here we take a leaf from Vajpayeeji's, and then move forward.
Those who are key Kashmir watchers and observers but are not living in Kashmir or India and Pakistan, they think that the biggest impediment vis-a-vis Kashmir's resolution is India's aversion to third-party mediation. They always bring the example of Northern Ireland, for example, how George Mitchell principles worked there, and the Good Friday Agreement happened between the Northern Ireland and the British government, UK government. Do you think that if Kashmir has to be resolved, there has to be some kind of flexibility shown from all sides? And they also have a view that we have right now stuntsmen everywhere, and there is no statesman who can take who has a political will to take unpopular decisions and try to get things moving in a positive direction. What's your view?
Well, I feel Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, my question is, do you think that there has to be some?
Sorry. I mean, we have had many agreements. We had this Tashkent agreement, then we had Simla agreement. But any agreement minus J&K people has not really, worked. For the first time, Vajpayee ji, when he talked of, extending hand of friendship, it was from the, soil of Kashmir.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was a talk with Hurriyat. Then there was a talk with Pakistan. For the first time, when you try to involve, why I talk about all the time about Vajpayee ji is because I have an experience of seeing my father and Vajpayee ji working like partners.
Mm-hmm.
It was for the first time that you could see a chief minister from J&K was in partnership with the Prime Minister of the India. And what my father used to say, Vajpayee would listen. And what Vajpayee ji would say, my father could understand it.
You meant that both were on the same page.
There was a partnership. Because otherwise तो होता है ना कि state का chief minister, उसको आप किसी उसमें ही नहीं लाते हो, क्या है ये, खाते में नहीं लाते हो, autonomy resolution, just throw it away. कोई और बात है, ये तो एंटी मुफ्ती साहब ने कहा कि पाकिस्तान के अप्रिशिएट करते हैं, तो ये जो पाकिस्तानी हो गया, पाकिस्तानी चीफ मिनिस्टर हो गया. So for the first time there was that understanding. It wasn't only as far as the political process is concerned. Gawar, let me tell you, when my father used to go to Delhi, and if he needed any financial help, अभी डैडी का प्लेन वापस नहीं पहुंचा होता था कश्मीर, फैक्स वहाँ से जसवंत सिंह का आ जाता था कि इतना पैसा आपका जो है एडिशनलिटी ट्रांसफ़र हो गई है. Then we had got a package for tourism. We got a package for ये जो हमारे घोड़े वाले हैं. It is not as if pony wala. It is not as if कि वाजपेयी जी ने खाली political process चलाया, but उन्होंने हर चीज़ में उन्होंने बहुत मदद की. International airport, again वाजपेयी.
I want to just bring couple of questions.
So I feel you can't leave Kashmiris out.
Yeah.